Hello everybody, my name is Coolblood. I'm bringing out this video of me playing a board game. Today we'll be playing Final Girl, continuing our Poltergeist journey. And this is going to be scenario number 3 in the Lauren scenario book. So we see here I have Sacred Grove set up, and I think this one, what is this one called? This one is called Only the Gods Can Help Her. Yeah, Only the Gods Can Help Her. And this one we'll be playing on Sacred Grove. So before I get too deep into the playthrough, first things first, I'm going to do the shuffling of Carolyn and setting up with the item deck while we're here, so we can just make sure I'm not doing any shenanigans. And then 2, I am going to play with a few mods that you see on the table. So if this is the first video that you're seeing of mine, I am playing with 2 mods. It's kind of 3 if you count the stat sheet here. But the Queens of Horror deck, I'm playing with that, which gives me additional source of dice rolls, or, you know, odds manipulation, if you will. The tenacity counters, which I feel should be core to all games, but the tenacity counters, that one allows me to kind of add up my 1s and 2s as I go along the game and get some kind of very auxiliary benefit from those things, so you know I'm not getting too smacked around in this game. And then finally, I am going to do a special mod for this one. I kind of teased about it last time around when I fought Hans at Sacred Groves, but I am going to go ahead and try to test it out with this playthrough. So this will be your first time me doing this. I don't have any rules typed up for this. I do have rules set up for the modification of Queens of Horror and the modification of tenacity counters. Feel free to check the description below to find those modifications. But I will be playing Sacred Groves by my own rules because I do not like the rules as currently written. I've been super critical about this the whole time, so I'm going to go ahead and try to test out a thing, see if it works out. And those rules are essentially the normal rules for Sacred Groves, with the exception that whenever level 10 specifically, it's a specific level 10, whenever level 10 happens on the Divine Wrath track, which the level 10 basically says discard all cards in your hand except for Atonement, and then decrease the Killer's Wrath, or sorry, decrease the Killer's Wrath, no, sorry, Divine Wrath by the number of cards discarded, which basically means you lose the entire turn if you don't have any Atonements. Even if you have Atonements, you still lost a turn. I'm changing that to basically be the same text as it says, but also for each atonement you have in your hand, you also get to keep 1 card, and you still discard by the number. So okay, let me rephrase that. The approach that I'm going to do is that for each atonement that I have in my hand, I get to reduce the Divine Wrath by 1. That's change number 1. And change number 2 is that for each atonement that I have in my hand, I also get to keep a card. So essentially it's the same text, except for I can have atonements to counteract that. So if my entire hand, for instance, if the Divine Wrath is over here at level 10, which is at the max of the track here, which I guess is kind of hard to see. Let me go and zoom in. There we go. If my Divine Wrath is at 10 here, which says discard all cards in your hand, except Atonement, and then decrease the Divine Wrath by the number of cards discarded. Let's say this is my hand, where I have all these cards, these beautiful cards, and I have to do that effect. How I'm going to play it is that for each Atonement I have in my hand, I reduce the Divine Wrath by 1, so 1, 2. And then for each atonement that I have in my hand, I get to keep that many cards. So in this case, let's say I want to keep a walk, and I want to keep a focus. And then those stay in my hand. So all these cards here stay in my hand, the atonements plus those 2 cards. And then I discard everything else, 1, 2, 3, 4, discarding the Divine Wrath by the same number, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what that effectively has is, or what that effectively does, is it still makes Divine Wrath at level 10 awful, but that makes it less awful. And for those who might be wondering, oh, Cool Blue, you're ruining the game. You're changing the statistics. You're making it too easy. It's like, no. You don't understand. You understand. There's a guarantee whenever you play Sacred Groves, there's a guarantee that Divine Wrath will be maxed out at least twice. At least as far as the games I've played. No matter how hard you try, there are cards, especially in the Killer's deck, that will come out that just say increase Divine Wrath by number of people on the thing, and then you can only have but so many turns to increase it. Case in point, I had a playthrough to where by the beginning of my turn 2, Divine Wrath had jumped all the way up to 8. And that was despite me specifically going to clear off the Sacred Groves places. That was despite me specifically doing everything I could. So that goes a long way to say that the way Sacred Groves is designed with that Divine Wrath mechanic, I do not like at all. And because it's a solo player game, I'm going to go ahead and just try to experiment with some rules changes, see if that helps me make it more enjoyable for myself. If you do not like this particular approach, feel free to not play with it. And if you want to count this as a, not legitimate win if I win, or not legitimate loss if I lose, go for it. I'm going to play it this way because otherwise Sacred Groves as a location just doesn't jive with me. Okay. So those are the two additional modifications, which is how I'm going to interact with the Divine Wrath track. And then when I get to Inkenyaba with the Killer's Wrath, I think a little bit more hard about how I'm going to modify that. But I'm probably going to have a modification of that because Inkenyaba plus Divine Wrath is even worse. The horror stories I could tell. Anyway, not even good horror stories. Just, by the way, you lose. It's like, okay. All right. So we have everything set up here for the scenario. And the scenario I mentioned before is only the gods can help her. And of course, returning, I have my pointer right there. Nice little extending back scratcher pointer / pointer. We got the Poltergeist set up over there. We got my setup events. We got the dice and stuff. I'll talk about the dice once we zoom in. We also got my cards set up over here, and I'm playing Alice. So Alice has 4 measly health, so over there. And then, of course, we have returning our esteemed guest, the Palm Island box. Palm Island, great board game. Nice solo or 2-player game. And you can also play it mobily. But also, it makes a good dice tray, so I use it as a dice tray. But also a really great game. Highly recommend. Is one enjoyable game I can always try to recommend to people, if people can find it. So let's go ahead and do the let's go ahead and set the items. So I have to shuffle Carolyn into the item deck. This is the item deck for Sacred Groves. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a good shuffle here. Let's see, it's 1, 2. And then 3, and then for those who don't know, whenever you set up Carolyn, whenever you play against a Poltergeist, you're usually trying to rescue Carolyn, and Mr. Floppy is also another item card, so those are 2 special items that you throw into the deck. So the top item cannot be Mr. Floppy or Carolyn, so I'm going to go ahead and flip those face up right now. And there's 4 items in each deck, so that means I have to put 9 cards in. Because these 2 have to be part of that 9, I'm going to take 7, basically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like so. Put the rest of these items away because I don't need them. Or I will not need them. Allegedly. And then I'll shuffle Mr. Floppy and Carolyn into this stack of 7, which will give me a total of 11. Or total of 9. Wow, math is hard. There's 2 cards. Oh no, I didn't see that. Get the best shuffle I can. And then we're going to do 3 to this, 3 to this, 3 to this. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. There's that one. Alright, so everything's sufficiently randomized. And that's all set. So my win condition against the Poltergeist is to find Carolyn and get out. It's my only win condition. Okay, so let's go ahead and zoom in so we can explain the HUD. Or the heads-up display, if you will. Oh, I gotta load his face here. My bad. Yeah, see on my screen it like cuts off a little bit on the top, so I can't tell just how much of Sacred Groves title you can see up there, but you don't need to see all that. You don't need to see all that. So down here we have our setup card, and on the setup card we have our pieces and where they should be. So we have six victims right here in the middle, smack dab in the middle, which is kind of dangerous because they're adjacent to these 2 holy places. We got me starting over here as a final girl, 1 here, 1 here, 1 there, and then 1 and 1, 1 and 1, and then there's a person way up there, and then finally there's a killer right there. So everything's all set up according to the Mob o Tourist, and that's good. In our starting items for Welcome Center, we have an energy drink here. We have an old rifle down here in the Lost and Found, which is completely useless. And then we have a Shaman Bones in the groundskeeper shed, which I don't know what Shaman Bones does, but let's go ahead and read it together here. So Shaman Bones, according to this. Look at the next tarot card and either place it on top or bottom of the tarot deck. Okay, that's not bad. That's a reasonable card. Kind of gives you a little bit of heads up what's coming up next. That's always good. You know, we always appreciate those kind of things. I might try to rush and get the energy drink though, because that lets me get 3 time or move 1 space. So I might be able to do something cool with that. Also, man, Alice needs to rescue 6 people. Ugh. I mean, she's got a lot of moves. That's pretty cool. But all right, I guess I'll figure that out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Oh, and I gotta initialize the Queens of Horror deck. So it's 1, 2. Oh, I saw that. Sorry, that last shuffle didn't happen. 2. And then 3. Okay, cool. And then we take out top 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Queens of Horror deck has been initialized. Tenacity counters are on nightmare mode, so they'll be on 0. Got my dice here, ready to go. The killer stuff is down there. We are too far over, are we? No, we're not. We're not too far over. I mean, on my screen, we're too far over, but like I said, my screen is a little bit like short. Oh, it starts at 1. And this one starts at 0. There we go. That's a bit better. All right. So let's go ahead and get the show on the road. Oh, sorry. Starting events. We have 4 events total. The starting event will be Loud and Obnoxious, and the other 3 are a mix of Uber Tours, Holy Man, and something else. I think it's like Expert Tour Guide or something. But Loud and Obnoxious is really annoying because whenever the Divine Wrath increases, we increase it by additional 1. So that's going to be a persistent nightmare for me to deal with. I'll put that all to the side where we can't read it. Actually, I'll put it up here. We got space. Because that card is pretty aggressive in general. So we'll see how that plays with us. Probably won't play very well. So my starting hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards here. And yeah, we're ready to get the show on the road. So I'm going to go and do my very first thing, which is kind of talk about what I might want to do. So I definitely want to try to evacuate people off of the Sacred Spaces, because there are cards in the Terror deck that trigger based on the number of people in Sacred Spaces. Also, in the Terror deck, there are 2 cards that are Where's Carolyn? There's one in the top half, there's one in the bottom half. And those cards basically just return Carolyn to the item deck, the nearest item deck, which is really annoying. So it behooves me to try to find Carolyn as soon as I can, but also, maybe I don't really need to. Yeah, we'll see. So because I do want to also try to get my power, or at least I want to take advantage of some of these cool moves that I got down there, I'm thinking about trying to do a walk path that will rescue me at least 3 people in turn 1. I don't know if I can, I can't do it. It's impossible because I can only move, well, it's possible because if I do 1, 2, and then take that, and then bloop, bloop, and then walk again, 1, 2, I can clear off a person on that. I don't know. It's a little bit difficult. I don't know. This could go a lot of different ways, but I'm gonna go ahead and pick a path. I think because the ghost is here, the ghost is gonna go like one, or the ghost is either gonna go to that person or to that person, unless it says otherwise. I think it's a better idea for me to start walking that way, because at the very least I can like clear that off and then get that, and then maybe try to rush back down here and rescue some people. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So first and foremost, let me go and play my first card, and I will do the customary thing that's customary with me. I will play my cards, or sorry, I'll do my horror roll, which is currently at 2 because I get 2 dice. I'll do my horror roll from the Queens of Horror deck. So that's a shuffle indicator. That's a Black Queen is a 6 in my deck, and a Ace is a 1. So I got a 1 success and 1 fail. So I can't do anything about it. So I got 1 move. So I'll move once here. And then my next turn, I'm going to go ahead and walk again. And I am going to roll the dice for this one. So I'm rolling 2 horror dice in my nice little dice tree. So come on, dice. Hey, those dice. Oh man, I forgot. Sorry, tenacity counters, man. Sorry, so this is my 1, this is my 2. So I got a 1 here. So I should get 1 tenacity. Once I get to 5 tenacity, then I get a free star. And then for this one, this is my 2, so I should get a tenacity. I can't do anything to reroll that because I do not have any close calls. But 1 success, I can move 1 space, so I'll move 1 space here. I'll rescue this person, drop it on the 2 spot. Or, you know what? Hear me out. I could, if I wanted to, take a cost 2 or less action card. If I do, then that'll let me move 1, 2, 3 potentially for a that's a bad idea. I think I'd rather just move 2. Yeah, I'd rather just move 2. Although, I could get a search. Oh, snap. Sorry, for both of those walks, I should have lost a time. So, I lose 1 time for the first walk, I lose another time for the second walk, so I'm at 4 time right now. I almost forgot about that completely. Also, I have a new cable connected to my camera above. It might flicker. If it does flicker for this playthrough, I'll just put my old cable back in. This one's longer, but HDMI cables can only go about so long, so the other one was a little bit shorter and a little bit more annoying to deal with, but it worked. So we'll just go with it. All right. So I got to determine where I'm gonna put this person. It would be nice to move 2 spaces, but I think it could be a good idea to go ahead and start planning for more stuff. Like if I take the 2 additional time, for instance, if I take the 2 additional time that this gives me, that's going to give me 6 time to spend, and then I can try to, like, I'll hold on to the rest of my cards in my hand because I have not had to discard anything. And then with that 6 time, I can get a distraction and 2 close calls, or I can get an atonement and a sprint and a search. I can get a plethora of things. And this is where the energy drink is, so it would be nice to search it. But you know, with 4 time, technically, if I just move 1 space right now, I can move into that spot. And then for the 4 time, I can get a search and 2 close calls. I won't be able to move, which is kind of risky in my mind, but I'll be able to, like, move afterwards. Yeah, because, like, the longer I leave people on these red spots, the worse it gets. And then there's eventually a card that comes out that pulls people to the red spots, and it's like, that's also the worst. So, I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Alright, I think I'm going to commit to moving 1 space to be there. I'm going to end my turn, and then I'm going to use that 4 time to buy 1 search and 2 close calls. Because if I can just find Carolyn right now, that'd be great. Like, that'd be like, ooh, top card Carolyn? Nice. So my time resets to 6. These cards are liberated. And now we're off to the ghost. So the ghost is going to do ghost things with the ghost's friends. And we are going to do the ghost's movement, which the ghost is going to target the nearest final girl or victim, which the current closest is victims. And is going to walk and then slash. So in the event of a tie, because there's a tie, because the ghost can go 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3. In the event of a tie, the game has you do tiebreakers in 3 different ways. Way number 1 is what's the most thematic. Way number 2 is what's the worst for you. Way number 3 is what's the funniest. I like option number 4, which is roll some dice. So I'm going to roll a die, and we're going to determine where this ghost goes. So this will be low, this will be high, because this is a 1, this is a 3. So 1, 2, 3, yeah. Well, okay, if the ghost is going to go for this person, then the ghost has to determine whether they're going to go this path or that path, because that does matter to some degree. Alright, so first let's figure out, is the ghost going up or down? So this is low, this is high. So they're going high, so it doesn't matter what path. Doesn't matter what path? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I guess it kind of does. Alright, so now I gotta figure out if the ghost is going to go here or here. This is low, this is high, so the bottom number is low, the upper number is high. Low, so the ghost is going to go that way. So 1, 2. Right. Because the ghost could have gone that way, and I was just trying to see, because like if the ghost stops here, then, well, I guess because the ghost is going to this person, they wouldn't go this path. 1, 2, 3. They would just go 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay, never mind. Alright, I made it more complicated. If the ghost is going to go up, then they would determine this way or that way, but in this case, they're just going to go that way. Cool, 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 cool. So the ghost has hit nobody, and now we're going to do the first tarot card of the game. See how bad this is. Everything was flying around. So place the poltergeist with the closest victim, or in your space if there are no victims, and then increase the horror level by 1. So we're at 4 horror level. Oh, I didn't explain the dice. Sorry. For those who are watching for the first time, the dice. I mean, I'm assuming you figured it out by now. This is my time. This is my horror level. This determines how many dice I get here. So this is just a color representation, so I can quickly denote how many dice I get to roll. Yellow being 2, green being 3, red being 1. And that changes based on the horror level. And then this is how hard the ghost is punching. This is how fast the ghost is moving. This is the Divine Wrath track. And this is the Bloodlust track, which is currently at 0, which is why that's on top of that. And then because the ghost, or because when you play on Sacred Groves, the killer will have this track. This track is here. The ghost is off screen somewhere because, you know, we don't need to see all that at the same time. This is just the important information. Anywho, so we increase the horror level by 1. The ghost is going to teleport to the closest victim, which is the person that we're going for. They're going to smack them in the face. And that's going to increase their bloodlust by 1. which for their board over there is going to increase the horror level by 1, so from 4 to 5. So the first kill of the game. And then for here, we're going to increase the Divine Wrath by number of victims on sacred spaces. So 1, 2, plus 1 because loud and obnoxious, so 3. So we go from 1 to 4. Alright, so when Divine Wrath is unleashed, I'll discard 1 random action card. Alright, cool. Not great, but it's what we got. If the ghost kills one more person, then I have Stiff Wind, which means that I can't... Or whenever I do a move of 2 or more, I reduce it by 1. That's really frustrating. So we're going to go ahead and do our search. Also, I need the ghost to ghost away. It's not really much space I can work with, so we're just going to have to trust me when I say that that's what that card does. Also, my hair. It's always everywhere. I feel like I should make like a super cut of all these videos of like all the times I say, my hair, my hair, my hair, my hair, my hair. So I'm doing a search. I'm going to roll dice for this one. So the thing that I want is I want 2 stars. I want 2 successes, which will be 11% chance for me to get with 2 dice. So not the greatest of odds. But if I count partial successes as one of those things in the number, I have a 44% chance of doing it. My Queens of Horror deck also gives me some odds that I can consider. One more shuffle indicator, which is a joker in my deck. I have to shuffle again, but there's 8 queens total, which is 4 black queens, 4 red queens being 5s, black queens being 6s. So there's 7 queens left, and then there's 7 1s or 2s left, because there's 4 of each number. I don't know if I said that earlier. So it's kind of a wash. If I go here, it's like a better chance that I'll get a middle of the road number. So I'm going to go ahead and just roll the dice and hopefully get that 11% chance. We'll see. Nope, that's a 2 and a 6. So I kind of do want to make that a double success. So I think I will spend 1 close call to reroll one of those dice. So I'm keeping that 6, rerolling this. Because I'm rerolling this, I do not get the tenacity for this when I'm playing on nightmare mode. That's unfortunate, but I'm going to go ahead and do a close call to reroll just this 1 die. Okay, I can deal with that. That's good. So I lose 1 time because of the search that I'm doing. Oh, got too much stuff going on here. I lose 1 time because of the search that I'm doing. I got, I have to discard 2 cards for that to be a second success. I'll discard the short rest and weak attack. And that's 2 successes now. So I get to take the top 2 cards, lose 1 time, which I did, and then take the top 2 item cards and then choose 1 and then put the other all on top, face up, or underneath. So top 2 cards, come on, Carolyn. Oh, wow. All right, I'll take it. Yeah, I have no choice but to take Carolyn right now. So it's possible that I can win this game on turn 1.5. All right, welp, I unfortunately have 0 walks. That's not great. I will get a walk back at the end of this, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and, ooh. There's a 1 in 4 chance that the Carolyn Where Are You card comes up, which is gonna put Carolyn back in the deck. So to find Carolyn this early is a little bit annoying. I'm also a little bit worried about you know, there's a few things I'm worried about, but I'm just gonna go ahead and hope that I have enough to make it through. I got Carolyn, that's all I really care about. And if I can get out with Carolyn on turn 1 or turn 3, then that'll be like the fastest game of Final Girl that I played. I didn't get to use my Divine Wrath rule. Well, fingers crossed I won't have to use my Divine Wrath rule. We'll see. So I think I'm gonna, part of me wants to focus once, but I think I'm gonna just hold where I'm at. I'm not gonna do anything. I don't want to upset the game. Yeah, I'm gonna hold where I'm at. I'm gonna not take anything. And we are going to go ahead and purchase $5 worth of stuff. I'm gonna first get these 2 walks. And then I will take the 2 atonements for $4. Because that way, if something happens and Divine Wrath strikes at 10, based on the rule that I'm playing, I'll be able to at least walk out of here. So that's kind of a upside. Yeah, so that's it. So now the ghost is going to activate. The ghost is going to target the closest victim to them. There's a tie, and if there's a tie, the ghost is going to go where the most people are. So the ghost is going to go there, and it's going to slap that person. And we're going to increase the Bloodlust by 1, which is not great. And that one gives the Ghoster Dark Power, which is going to be Stiff Wind. Stiff Wind, all your moves with 2 or more spaces are reduced by 1. So that's something to remember. Now the question is it going to be the... Okay, cool, nice. All right, so I will be able to win. All right, place a Poltergeist with the closest victim in your space, or with the closest victim or in your spaces there's no victims. Increase the horror level by 1. So we're going from 5 to 6. And then the ghost is going to slap somebody. It's going to smack that person down. Which is going to increase their bloodlust. And that's going to unleash Divine Wrath. Cool rule you got there. Be ashamed if somebody won the game with it. So I will discard all my... Oh, I lied. Sorry. We got to do this. Sorry. I for some reason thought we were at 10 already. I'm just used to being at 10 by turn 2. You can see how much this game has impacted me. So, Unleash Divine Wrath here, which is discard 1 random action card. So I'm going to shuffle all these. I have 2 walks. I have 2 mobility, so I'm okay with one of these being discarded. And it's an atonement. Oh, these cards are liberated. It's an atonement, which is unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Alright, cool. Well, that's not as awful. Oh, and these guys are going to all panic. I'm going to roll all 4 dice because they're all going to panic. It doesn't matter though because I'm going to win this game by just escaping. I am going to roll everything just because we are trying to have a full playthrough video here. So why not? Alright. So we're going to do 2 right there. There's a 4 which will go here. So that's the 2, the 4. Then we're going to do a 2 and the 4. Then we're going to do a 3, which is there. Then we're going to do a 5, which was there. Wow, that's not good. Okay, cool. Happy day. Happy days. So I will try my hardest to walk out of here. I'm going to just take the win, take the W, take the dub, and walk away. Alright, another 6 and a 2, so I'll take that. Actually, yeah, it doesn't matter, because Stiff Wind will reduce it down to 1 anyway. I'm taking my Tenacity, and I'm walking my butt out of here. And there we go. I have won the game. Woohoo! So it looks like it paid off for me to do that whole reroll earlier, so I can get 2 successes. So yeah, that's one of the shorter games that I played of Final Girl, especially against a Poltergeist. There was one other time where I got lucky and I drew the top item card, but I think it was on Creech Manor, so it took me forever to walk out, and then like everything just kind of went south and things didn't work out, and yeah, it was a nightmare. But at any rate, I've rescued Carolyn. Woohoo! It says when Carolyn joins you, remove all minor dark powers from the game. You must escape with Carolyn to win the game. Carolyn cannot be killed or discarded for any reason. You cannot place her back in your backpack because I don't know why. Thematically, it'd be kind of cool. Put the kid in a backpack, but whatever. So yeah. Oh gosh, my hair. All right. Well, that was not necessarily anticlimactic, but it worked out. We did see me shuffle. I'm just throwing it out there. We saw me shuffle because I figured that there would be at least one game of the... This will be game number 8 that I played against Poltergeist for the lore and scenario, because I played 5. I played a complete playthrough with Poltergeist previously, but I'm not putting that video up because there were some issues that I had with some of the rules. More specifically, the statistics sheet that I was featuring in that entire series of Hans and Poltergeist, was absolutely incorrect. So as a result of that, I'm just re-recording the whole video series because, I guess I got nothing else to do. But with that said. It was inevitable that I would eventually find Carolyn on the top card, as far as me searching, and that one just happened to work out to where Carolyn was in the Welcome Center. I wonder where Mr. Floppy was. I mean, I don't know where Mr. Floppy was or is, but we can kind of zoom out and see how messy the board did not get. But Mr. Floppy's probably, well, let's see, is he in here? Nope, was not in the Welcome Center with Carolyn. Oh, there he was. Mr. Floppy was in the Lost and Found, which is way down there. So cool. Alright, good stuff. So, critiques, because I spend every single video doing critiques, and it would be a shame if I did no critiques in this currently 30-minute video. So some critiques that I have for Sacred Groves. My persistent critique for Sacred Groves is that it's so aggressively gross against the player, as in it's kind of difficult to reasonably get that Divine Wrath down. And what I mean by that, just for those who are wondering why I made that atonement change or rule change, was because otherwise atonement is a pretty useless card. Sorry, let me tell you about it. Atonement is a very difficult to use card. Let me say it that way. It's not useless. It's useful if you can actually get the dice rolls you want, but because you're leaving it up to a random chance, you're probably not going to get the dice rolls you want. So let's go ahead and zoom back in here. So if we look at our cards here for atonement, the effect that it has is that when you have a success, a single success, you get to decrease the killer's wrath or divine wrath by 1. Not much, but it's something. Usually these abilities, the higher you go up on the track, the worse it is. So I would rather discard 2 random action cards. Discard 2 random action cards and lose 5 times? Oof. Okay, I take it back. I might rather increase the horror by 2 and lose 4 times. Because, I mean, I don't know. Like these don't feel good. And I understand that the message of the game is that, well, manage your Divine Wrath track and manage your Killer's Wrath track and stop ignoring it. But there's one thing to where those things don't feel good, in the sense I don't think they're balanced. There's another thing to where they can trigger so aggressively. Like we got lucky. Our first 2 cards were everything was flying around. I shuffled. I promise. I shuffled. So we get lucked out on that one. But as far as the bad cards, let's see. Shadows Are Closing In was the next one. There's a Carolyn, Where Are You? I was hoping that one didn't come out, but it didn't. Where the hell did the storm come from? That's awkward. There we go. Punish for the Gods. So this one says Unleash Divine Wrath, and then the killer moves and draw an event. And then the event that we would have gotten would have been the Holy Man to make it much worse for us. Of course, the Holy Man is a pretty aggressive one too, where it says the victim furthest from the killer is now the Holy Man. The Holy Man will not follow you. Every upkeep phase, the Holy Man moves 1 space towards the killer. When the Holy Man is in the same space as the killer, immediately remove them from the board. If you were in the space when the Holy Man merged with the killer, decrease Divine Wrath and Killer's Wrath by 1. If you were not in the space, increase Killer's Wrath and Divine Wrath by a total of 10. So like you have things like that that really kind of push this mechanic of Divine Wrath and go try and play with it and go see how it goes. But all the triggers for it, especially in this scenario, because it called for Fear of the Gods, Rage of the Gods, and Punishment of the Gods, like all 3 of these are awful. Like all 3 of these are bad. And when I say bad and awful, I don't mean as in, oh no, the player has a difficulty, they got a challenge that they got to overcome. I mean, no. These are genuinely designed, specifically this one. Okay, now let me not say specifically this one. Depending on the order of things, because we're at Divine Wrath 4. So if I had a situation to where Punishment of the Gods triggers, let's say that was my second card. Unleash Divine Wrath number 1, discard 1 random action card. Unleash Divine Wrath number 2, discard 1 random action card. And then the killer goes and presumably murders somebody. Successfully. Oh, come on. The killer successfully murders somebody, presumably. And that's going to increase this by 1, which is going to trigger this, which is increase Divine Wrath by number of victims at the holy spaces, which is currently 5 plus 1 because of that. So now we're all of a sudden from where we were, which is at 4, and we're maxed out at 10. And then on top of that, we're going to get an event. So let's say the Holy Man was already out. We're going to get an event. The event that we get is the Uber Tourist, and the Uber Tourist in this hypothetical scenario that we're playing out here is the victim furthest from the killer is now the Uber Tourist. Whenever the killer must choose a target, the Uber Tourist is chosen instead. If the Uber Tourist is saved, decrease the Divine Wrath and the Killer's Wrath by Killer's Wrath by 4. If the Uber Tourist is killed, increase Divine Wrath by 4. So you have a lot of things against you is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to point out that, like, as a mechanic, this is very much skewed towards evil. And I talked about this before when I was talking about Camp Happy Trails. That Camp Happy Trails is very happily skewed towards good. As in, there's a lot of things that really help you out. The motorboat, there's the cool events that come up. There's victims that can pop up in convenient places for you. There's a lot of good things that benefit the players and empower the players to keep going. Whereas when you go to Sacred Groves, this Divine Wrath track alone is just so aggressive. And then, like I said, this scenario specifically told me to put these 3 in here, and it specifically told me to have those events in here. And it's like, no, I don't want to play. I don't want to play with your crappy mechanic. like your mechanic as designed is not considering what challenges are you throwing to the player and how can the player overcome them. What I mean by that is, like, do I have the correct tools to be able to overcome these challenges? Like, if the Divine Wrath gets maxed out at 10, do I have the appropriate tools to reduce that? To which some people might argue, yes, Cool Blue, you have all the tools you need. You can buy an atonement for 2 time, and if you can roll yourself 3 successes, then you get to reduce it all the way down to 1. What's not to love? And I would say everything's not to love about that, because you consider that you spend a lot of this game, and I talked about this before, and I'll talk about it again. You spend a lot of this game at time, or rolling 2 dice. So you can only roll 2 dice, or you spend a majority of the game rolling 2 dice, to say. You can very aggressively try to get it down to 1, so you can roll 3 dice instead. But even if you're rolling 3 dice, there's a 4% chance that you'll be able to get that with just a single dice roll. If you want to consider the partial successes as a part of the success train, then yes, it does become better. There's a 30% chance for that. But let's consider this. How many cards do you need to discard? How many cards do you need to discard if you get 3 partial successes? That's the question. Because we're talking about resource management at this point. So you have 1, 2, 3 partial successes on that roll. Now there's a 4% chance that this is going to happen too. I just want to be clear, because we got to be fair with the statistics we're talking about. There's a 4% chance that you get exactly this, because the chance of this is the same exact chance of this. And I don't mean by numbers, I mean by the success or fail. So there's a 4% chance that you can end up with exactly this. It can happen though. It can happen. I just want to point that out. And if we want to exclude that, then we're reduced down to the 4%. So including the partial successes and the full successes, some combination of those two. Let's make it better for ourselves. Let's say we get this. How many cards do you need to discard to make it successful? And you need to discard at least 4 cards, 5 total if you count the atonement. So you need to play the atonement. You need to roll the dice in this particular manner, and then you have to have 4 cards available in your hand to make that a full success. And then once you do that, your only benefit is that you get to decrease the Divine Wrath or Killer's Wrath. So if you're playing against Inkenyaba, good luck. But you get to decrease the Divine Wrath all the way down to 1. So you do that. So you go from 10 to 1. And you feel grand. You feel excellent. You feel fantastic. And then you continue playing on your game. And then all of a sudden, you know, the Holy Man comes up. And let's say a situation comes up to where you're just not going to be able to intercept the Holy Man before the ghost, or before they reach the ghost or the killer. And all of a sudden your Divine Wrath is back up at 10. So now you got to do it all again. And oh, by the way, if the ghost kills a person or two, the horror track is going to increase. So you're not going to be able to be in that sweetheart situation. What I'm trying to emphasize is that it's very difficult to try to roll 3 dice and to give them all successes. So while I do like this power here, I do like that ability, that's fun, it just doesn't pan out. Like, you would need to buy a planning, which costs you 4 time, which is a lot of time. So either you have reduced the horror level and you managed the horror level so well, which means that you sacrifice moving, you sacrifice doing other stuff, you sacrifice rescuing people, you sacrifice something. You had to have sacrificed something to actually make that successful. Or, hear me out, you manage your resources so well that you were able to do it. I'll concede that point. If you can manage your resources very well to do that, then you can do that. But what I'm trying to say is that the game on its face, on the surface value, does not give you enough tools to actually be able to do that. Knowing what we know about the game, if you've been following this whole entire playthrough, knowing what we know about the game, these statistics exist. These statistics dictate what you should do. These statistics dictate that on turn 1, you should do 2 things and not do anything else. Turn 2, assuming that you have your resources spent properly, if you got 6 cards in your hand, do 2 more actions. If you have 4 cards in your hand, do 1 action. If you got 7 cards in your hand somehow, maybe do 3. You can risk it. But at the end of the day, these statistics are still binding to this game. And it looks like, for a lot of people when they come into the game, which is such a tragedy, is that people look at a hand like this, which is a walk, a focus, a close call, and a focus. People look at a hand like this and say, okay, I have 2 walks, and I have 2 chances to reduce the horror level. So I'm going to try to play all my cards. So I'm going to go ahead and do my walk. Let's assume that the horror level is at 6. Actually, let's make this better for us. Let's make this a 3. Let me clean up some of the stuff so we have a reasonable example here. Gosh, so messy. So let's assume that this is my hand. We're gonna go ahead and give ourselves a hypothetical scenario. Let's assume this is my hand. 2 walks, 2 focuses, and a close call. It might be tempting to look at this and say, okay, cool. I have myself a number of actions. I have myself 4 actions. Once again, I want to emphasize that's not the case. You do not have 4 actions. Also, yeah, So as we're done with this, okay, cool. Anyway, I have myself 4 actions. So with those 4 actions, I will go ahead and play them. So let's just go ahead and just assume I got 4 actions. So I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know where I'm walking, I don't know where I'm focusing, but let's just go and roll the dice. I'm going to put this down. My chances of getting 2 successes, which I'm hoping for, is 11%. I might get it, I might not get it. Let's roll the dice. Alright, I got a partial success and a fail. So the chances of me having that, if we look at our other chart, is 89% chance that was going to happen, and it happened. So I end up with a partial success and a fail. Oh, and also, sorry, let me put these charts here so we can actively refer to them. There's 89% chance that we end up with that because we're rolling 2 dice, and we're trying to look for 1 full success or 1 partial success, and we got 1 partial success. So that was included in the statistics. There's 89% chance it's going to happen. So hey, cool, I can discard 2 cards. This is the question that I ask everybody. What 2 cards will you discard? Because if you discard 2 cards, you went from having 4 actions that you thought to suddenly having only 1 action currently. But we're going to go ahead and continue with the scenario. Let's say that you're going to say, okay, no, I want a full success on that. So I'm going to go ahead and spend 2 time, discard the close call, and reroll both of these dice. Because you don't want to discard cards, you want stars. Couldn't have wrote it myself. You end up with 2 partial successes, which is even worse because not only did you get rid of your close call, but now you got to determine, okay, do I want to take the consequences of failing this roll, or do I want 1 success? Let's assume, because we're trying to push along here with our example, that you're going to play ad hoc, and you're going to go ahead and take the consequences of getting a fail. So I have no successes. I'm not converting any of those partials into full successes. I have no successes. Therefore, I will move 1 space. I will lose 1 health, so from 4 to 3. And I'll lose 2 time. So I'm down to 2 time. Okay, cool. All right, that's fine. I got 3 more cards to play, so I got 3 more actions, correct? No, you do not have 3 actions, but we'll talk about it later. I'm going to go ahead and play a walk, because I do want to try to travel. I'm going to roll 2 dice. 11% chance is hopefully what happened. We'll see. I was thinking about it. I have no way to reroll anything, so I got to stick with this roll. So I got 1 success and 1 fail. So 1 success right here will give me moving 1 space and lose me 1 time. So I'll lose 1 time. And I get to move 1 space. So I'm going to move. Oh, it's not connected. I'm going to make my way down here to this group of people. Actually, no, I lied. Because the ghost is going to go fight those people. I'm going to go up here. 1. Alright, so now that's done. Like I said, I have 4 actions. I want to play my 4 actions. I'm stubborn. I'm playing my 4 actions. I'm going to play this card here for focus. I'm going to try to reduce the horror level. That's a fail. That's effectively a complete fail. Because I only have 1 card left in my hand. So I cannot discard 2 cards to make that a full success. So I have to either... Well, there's no either. I can't do anything. And the consequences of failing that are to lose 2 time. I only have 1 time. According to the phasing of the game, it has been said that you are stuck with your decision. You have to resolve the entire action before you can do anything. But because we're playing a solo game, let's be realistic. Oh no, I'm 1 time short. I'm going to discard this first so it doesn't automatically end my turn. And then I get plus 1 time. And then I lose 2 time because that's what the fail action was for focus. I don't have a 0 in here, so we're going to reset this back to 6. But effectively what's happening, just for those who are wondering, is that we're reducing this all the way down to 0. Note, if I go below 0, my turns ended immediately. So that's the reason why I wanted to boost that back up. So yeah, so I started the round thinking, okay, I got 4 actions. I have 5 cards in my hand, 4 actions, I got a whole reroll, I can do this. And it played out such that I effectively had 1 action. I moved twice, I guess. Yeah. I effectively had 2 actions. Let me take it back. I moved twice at a detriment to myself. So I lost 1 health to get 1 of the moves, and then I had to deal with 1 time loss and move 1 space. So in total, I lost all my time, but in total, I lost 4 time for that first walk because I did a full reroll. So I spent 2 time for that, and then I lose 1 time for walking, which I don't know if I calculated, but if I didn't, then there you go. There goes the rest of my time. So that's 3 time for me to walk. Actually, no, I lied. No. That's true. Right. Sorry. I'm trying to figure out if I think on the second walk I did a full fail, and get my math mixed up here. So I got 1 success. So that's 3 times spent between these 2 walks, and then on the next walk I got a complete fail. We already talked about this. I got a complete fail, and I couldn't do anything to convert it, or I didn't really want to convert it. So in that situation, I lost 1 health, moved 1 space, and then lost 2 time. So I lost 2 time for that. And then the next thing I did was I did a focus, which in this case I ended up losing 2 time again. So there's a lot of brutality to this when the dice are not rolling properly for you. Now, if I rolled 2 stars every single time, then I think I need to go try to play the lottery, because there's 11% chance for me to do that. But this is where the illusion of you have 1,000 actions in your hand, when in reality, no. You have 2 actions. If you got 6 cards in your hand, you have basically 2 actions. If you try to count any higher than that, then you're either pushing your odds or pushing your luck, which may not work out for you, or you're getting really lucky and things are going well, and keep going. Sure, enjoy your game, and enjoy your board game. But ultimately, yeah, that particular statistic is something that kind of shines very brightly, and that's the reason why when you go to locations like, gestures vaguely towards Sacred Groves, we go to locations like Sacred Groves with these kind of mechanics that say basically if you let the Divine Wrath get to 10, you got to discard all your cards. So once again, somebody will say, "Oh, cool blue, you can just play an atonement and reduces." Like, yes, we've talked about this before, but I'll say it one last time before I end this recording. Excuse me. Which is, what are your chances of actually getting that to reduce? What are your chances? What are your chances? I mean, we're gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's assume that you're in the 3 time. Let's assume that you've done so well that you've got the horror down to 1, and somehow you got the horror down. Well, you got the horror down to 1. You're rolling 3 dice now. The Divine Wrath is at 10, and you're now faced with a decision. Do you play the atonement and try to go for it, or do you just kind of ignore it and just kind of deal with the consequences? That's the thing you're faced with. And for some people, they might say, okay, I'll go ahead and take my chances and try to win. And if we're being optimistic, your best chance of getting this is a 30% chance, because you're rolling 3 dice. And you're counting full successes and partial successes, so it's a 30% chance. So in order for that 30% chance to be a guaranteed 30% chance, you would need to make sure that you have 7 cards in your hand, because you need 1 card to play, which is the atonement, and then you need 6 cards to discard to make those partial success full successes. And once again, I do want to continuously acknowledge that it is true. There's a 4% chance that you end up with only partial successes. There's a better chance that you will have a mix of stars and partials. But we're getting to the weeds on the statistics at that point. So if I roll these 3 dice, I end up with this. This is statistically common. Sure, let's go with that. So that means that I have to discard 4 cards. So I played 1 card to actually get this to go. I discard 4 cards, and I get that star there. And my reward for that one is Atonement, which is to decrease the Divine Wrath to 1. So I go from 10 to 1. But let's consider in this case that I had 7 cards in my hand to start with. I had to discard 5 cards to make that work. I have 2 cards left in my hand. So the question becomes, how many actions do I have left? We just did the math. We just talked about I have 5 cards in my hand. Thought I have 4 actions. I really only have 1, or actually 2. So you can at best have 1 action left. So I got 2 cards in my hand. I got 1 action left. Let's say those 2 actions. And once again, I'm playing this out because I talk about this over and over and over again, but I feel like for some reason people don't believe me when I say it. By people, I mean the invisible people that I made up in my head that I'm assuming are counter-arguing me. Let's assume that I did all that. I reduced it all the way down to 1, and all I got left is a walk and a close call. Not the worst results, to be honest, but I'm rolling 3 dice, so let's go and try it. What can I accomplish with this? Well, I cannot escape anybody, so let's go and give me the benefit of the doubt. Let's say I'm here. Hypothetically, let's just say I'm here. So if I get 2 successes, I can walk somebody out. My chances of getting 2 successes on 3 dice are much higher, 26% chance. If I count partials, which I cannot count partials, but if I did, 74% chance. And that was a little bit worse than I was expecting, but okay. All right, let's say I don't want to accept that. I'm going to play my close call. I'm going to lose 2 time. And I'm re-rolling all of that because that was garbage. Not better, but I have no cards to discard to make that a full success. So I have 1 success. So I can move 1 space. So at least I can vacate people off of this spot, which I think, to be clever, I would vacate them this way. So that way the ghost still goes that way, because strategy and stuff. But yeah, that's my whole point. That's my whole point with statistics. So I will leave that there because I don't want to belabor it too long. I did go a little bit longer with my whole post-game analysis since the game ended so soon, so early, so successfully. But I do want to emphasize that yes, with Sacred Groves, it doesn't really work as a mechanic for Divine Wrath. It kind of reeks of a, this is a cool thing that we sat down and thought of as designers, and then we said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if, and then we didn't play test it. We just kind of duct taped it together, put it on the board, did some production, and then put it in the game. And here people are struggling, saying that, oh man, this game is so fun, I love the storytelling. Like, yes, I love the storytelling too, but I would like to actually be involved in the story instead of playing a 0-player game. If I wanted to play a 0-player game, what you could do, just put the final girl here, and then put a card, roll some dice, see if she does anything. If she does, cool. If she doesn't do anything, she stays there. And then roll the dice for the killer, flip the cards for the killer. This game becoming a 0-player game is not a good selling point, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm always trying to do things to help reduce that from being a 0-player game, to make it to where I can actually be involved more from my personal perspective, my personal opinion. So feel free to take it with a grain of salt. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video there, because I don't want to belabor it too much longer than I have. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the next playthrough, which will be at the Carnival of Blood. So we'll see how I do on that one. But until then, yeah, thank you all very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it. And as always, I will see you all whenever.